In the last video, I shared with you how our family was making the switch from a gentle feast to the Alveary, and I shared a little bit about why we were making the switch and just what I hope the switch would accomplish for our family. So I'm excited in this video to share with you how it's going so far. So we are now 3 weeks into our school year, and I thought it would be fun to kind of just give you an update on how I am feeling the Alveary is working for our family. I was a little hesitant with maybe how it was going to go because I felt like I was adding in a lot of things that our family was not already doing. A couple of them being Spanish. I was not doing that as regularly as I could have been. Shakespeare, Plutarch, handicrafts, just some of those subjects I was unsure how to tackle regularly. And some of them I just felt like maybe I wasn't prepared enough or skilled enough in that area. And so I was excited with the Alveary because so many things that they offer, they hold your hand and they walk you through how to teach your student these subjects and so many video lessons to go along with it. So I have been so far absolutely loving everything that the Alveary has had to offer. I went ahead and I threw all of the subjects in. I am talking everything. I wanted to see what fit for our family and if there was anything that I felt like maybe wasn't fitting or wasn't working or it was taking too much time, then I was going to kind of drop it along the way. I do that every year. I usually try to start with the absolute full feast and then I pare down as I see fit for our family. I did make sure and be more intentional with our time this year. We had a Wednesday commitment that every morning on Wednesday at like 10 a.m. I had to leave. And so it really cut into our day. So I rescheduled some stuff to make sure that we had more time in our week for a 5-day school week. We had always done a 4-day school week kind of leading up to this. But my son, he's now in 6th grade and it just was not working anymore. His workload was getting to the point where he needed some extra time because he was getting burned out on those 4 days because they felt so long because I was fitting 5 days worth of school into 4 days for him. So switching back to a 5-day school week, last year we tried doing that. And then this year I was way more intentional with it. That already was a big help. So coming back to the Alveary, I threw all of the subjects in. I scheduled everything that they recommended. I went through their lesson plans and just put it all in. And so far, it is going very well. So how I have scheduled our day is we have what I do is our family lessons, which is our morning time in the morning. So this is going to be all of our Bible, all of our composer study, picture study, folk songs. What else are we doing? Poetry. All of that is done together. I didn't necessarily combine grade levels. I am just doing it all together. So we are still doing the Form 1 poetry alongside the Form 2 poetry. I figure they can both benefit from hearing the other's poetry, whether they're understanding it or not. It's still good to be exposed to it. And they're still reading the retelling of the Bible, which is Hurlbut's. I don't know how you pronounce that, to be totally honest. The retelling of the Bible for my Form 1 student. And then I also am doing our Bible readings, like directly from the Bible, alongside some commentary for my older students. And it has been wonderful. So here have been just some things that I have really liked about the Alveary this year that we were not necessarily getting to. So the first thing that we have been absolutely loving is notebooking, which really surprised me because my 6th grader, he was a little bit of a hesitant writer. And so it's been fun to see him really take off with notebooking this year. So we are notebooking things like Bible, science, citizenship. Let's see, what else is he doing right now? He's doing a written narration, and I think there's one other thing, and for some reason my mind is blanking on it. But I wanted to kind of show you what the notebooking is looking like because my Form 1 students are doing it alongside my son for Bible, and it has been one of the sweetest things to see them try to illustrate what they have been learning in the Bible readings. All right, so here is an example from their Bible readings. Actually, that one's mine. I've been doing it alongside them. So this is my 3rd grader who has been doing some notebooking in her Bible reading. So we've been reading through Genesis to start, and this is her notebooking right now. Now, this is not required for a 3rd grader, but this is what she has enjoyed doing. So she's been illustrating the days of creation and just this is the tree of knowledge and good and evil, God made men and animals, and she just has kind of been illustrating what we've been reading. Satan tricked Adam and Eve to eat the fruit. So this is just her illustration of this. And here's God in a little bubble. It says, Adam, why did you not obey me? So it's just really sweet to see how their notebooking is coming along. Actually, don't take it back. This was my daughter's. It was my handwriting in the front. So this is my first graders. She's been notebooking as well and has been drawing out the scenes from creation as well. And she just kind of asks me to write out just a one sentence. She gives it to me and I write it out for her and she copies it in here. Something super, super simple like God made dark and light, men and animals, tree of knowledge and good and evil. So those are the notebooking that we've been doing for Bible. It has been, like I said, so sweet to see their illustrations kind of come onto the page. And my son has been really enjoying it. I don't have his with me right now because his is in a different notebook. But the notebooking is something that has really surprised me. And what I loved about the Alveary is that it gives you the prompts for the notebooking. And it just says, have them notebook this. And it gives like either a question or a prompt for that day. And so that has been something that really surprised me that we are loving more than I thought we would, and it was not something that we were doing in the past. The other thing that I am absolutely loving from the Alveary is the Spanish lessons. They are done with a native speaker in a video lesson, and they go through literature, they go through a song, and they go through a picture study. And so that is done every week. You can do it for 5 days, or you can do it for 3. 3 is recommended for Form 1 students, and then for Form 2 and up, grade 4 and up, that is when they start doing 5 days a week. But if our schedule just is not allowing it, I just skip one of those extra days. But we are doing those all together as a family as well. And so far, the kids seem to be really connecting with it. And it's fun that they are getting kind of, it seems like a face-to-face interaction because they're watching someone actually speaking the text. And so they have been enjoying that and have been really learning a lot alongside that. Now, like I said, I felt like I was maybe adding too much in, but I feel that the Alveary has had very appropriate time frames and appropriate chunks of reading for the things that we are trying to accomplish. So we are starting our schooling at between 9 and 9:30 every day, and we're done by 1. So about 4 hours of school, and that's doing all of our family lessons, and that is doing all of our core subjects, and we are getting it all done. And when I say that we are getting it all in, I mean that's math, language arts, that's history, science, citizenship, that's Spanish, picture study, composer study, like all the things into one day. So we are hitting at least 10 plus subjects a day in that time frame. And they are enjoying what they are doing. So after our first week, I asked my 6th grader, who has been my most hesitant schooler, I said, what do you think of our new curriculum? And his response was, I like it better than the other one. And I was like, oh, you really like it? And he said, yeah. He goes, I think it's going really well. So to have a positive response from him was a huge win in my book. He was enjoying and was connecting with the books that he was reading, and he felt like it was maybe a little bit more of an appropriate pace, and he didn't feel like it was burdensome, which I never felt like the other, like a gentle feast, which we were using before, was burdensome at all. But I think the fact that him and I are now interacting more because I set up every lesson with him with an intro and either some map work or whatever, and then we always come back together. And I was not faithful with doing narrations when we were doing a gentle feast. He was kind of just mostly on his own. So me bringing him in and having more one-on-one conversations with me has enriched his schooling this year, and it has been beautiful to see. We've had some really great conversations, and I think he's making some connections that maybe he was missing out on because I wasn't, and I'm not teaching, like where I'm telling him what he needs to learn. He's reading the books, and then he's retelling me what he has learned, and then we're having these beautiful conversations from that. So it's been very enriching, and it has been very nice for me to see the fruits of what we are doing so far. So my biggest thing right now that I'm loving, and it is why we made the switch in the first place, was Alveary Plus, which is the online lesson planning. And I'm going to try to do another video with more details into what that looks like, maybe just kind of show you how I plan out our school year and how I'm planning out our weekly lessons. But I kind of wanted to show you a little glimpse into what I do every single week just so that you can see. So Syllabird is already preloaded with all of the lesson plans for the Alveary, and I go through and I click which lessons or which subjects I want to add into which child, and I schedule it, and it literally populates 36 weeks worth of lesson plans into Syllabird so that I can see exactly what we're supposed to do each week. And if we don't get to something, I can reschedule it for the next week, and it literally bumps everything by a week, and you don't have to change anything. It just automatically does it on its own, which has been amazing. So each week I am printing out a little packet that has all of their lesson plans on it. So, because I didn't want to be on my computer all the time checking things, I wanted something that was pen and paper that I could just take a look at. But the Alveary uses a lot of links. And so I was a little concerned that I was still going to be needing to go and like look stuff up. But what's really cool about Syllabird is it prints out QR codes for every single link that's in here. So I don't know if there's one on this first page or not, but there's like a little number that correlates with what QR code is in the back. I'm trying to see if I can find an example of it here. Here. It says image link, and it has a little 2 by it. So I just simply flip to the back and find the second QR code. So it's really fun to have this in front of me and just have this at my disposal. So this literally walks me through what every single subject is. And I love that it gives me the tools that I need to have a really deep and rich conversation with my kids. And I wanted to see if I could show this to you here. This is probably a good example. Like there's just an intro. It says, tell me how Dennis became a scientist. And then that's kind of the retelling. What do you think it's like working as a scientist? Let's find out what Dennis has to share about his experience today. And so then they go and read, and then they come back and they narrate. And so then it has a narration prompt. You know, what do you think about collecting samples while hanging out of a helicopter? And it's just like, what do you think about this? Did you think it was cool? And just kind of give them something more specific than just tell me what you know. It kind of gives them a jumping point for their narration, which is super fun. So we have been really enjoying that. The other thing that I have been loving about Alveary, and I was not fantastic about this either with A Gentle Feast because there wasn't that hand holding, is the amount of map work that is included in the Alveary is amazing. I think my kids are starting to make all of these connections that they weren't making before because they're physically seeing it on a map. So like when you're doing let's see if I can find it here. Well, geography for sure. Oh, wait, here. Ancient history. So there's actually a historical world atlas that you're going to have, which is this one right here. Yep. So this is a historical world atlas that we are using, and we pull that out for ancient history, and we actually look up what the boundary lines would have been for different historical civilizations so they can see where it correlated with modern map lines, right? And so it's been really cool to have all of that because it tells you what page to go to in the historical atlas. It tells you what to find and just says something like find Thebes and Memphis. And so they're going through and they're looking on the map and they're doing just a quick map work lesson and they're learning where things are. So I love that that is built into our lesson times and I'm not having to think about doing those on my own. It's all right here for me. And then geography obviously is right there as well. And I love that it's all tying everything together. So my son does have geography. That was the other notebook that he is currently doing. So it has like map links where you're going to print out a map and it is showing you and you're like tracing Marco Polo's journey on this map in your notebook. And so it just adds like this whole nother level of depth to our homeschool that we didn't have before. So I thought I would take just a minute as well to show you just some of the books that my students are reading. So this is literally what they have read for the first 3 weeks of school, and I'll just kind of go through based on form here. So my Form 1 so far in the past 3 weeks, she's read through The Very First Americans. She's read through several stories in the Christian Liberty Nature Reader. She's going through elementary geography, What Makes Day and Night. We read Over and Under the Pond, and right now we're also going over Frozen Landscapes. So there are some lessons that are all planned out in these lesson plans that don't require a book, but it's like map work where I'm going over and I am working with her on a globe, or we're working like with a compass or whatever. So some of these books are not necessarily, or this book stack isn't necessarily a true representation of all the work that we have done, but it is a good look at some of the reads that we did. So for my third grader, she's reading the Christian Liberty Nature Reader, book 4, and it's so fun. We are doing, we're raising ladybugs right now, and my third grader is like over the moon having fun watching this. We got like a little observatory and ordered some larvae, and she's been watching their growth, and they are about to change into ladybugs. So that is super fun. She is also reading through Pilgrim's Progress. I did choose to get the modern day language for her just so that it was a little bit easier and more enjoyable. Wonder Book for Boys and Girls. That is another read we are doing. Making Your Own Maps. Cross Country Geography for Children. We're doing that as well. Discovery of the Americas. Now, I have a little bone to pick with this book. I don't necessarily love this book. I don't feel like it's super living, but the way that the Alveary is tying everything together, you're reading very short portions in here, and then you're doing like a lot of map work, and you're kind of reading things in between it that is making this feel a little more living to me. Otherwise, it feels a little more textbooky, so I don't necessarily love that book, but the way that Alveary is handling it is great. And the next time you see a cloud. So those are the things that she has been reading for the past 3 weeks. Now, my 6th grader, this is fun. So he is doing A Midsummer's Night's Dream, which is kind of like their onboarding one because we've never done Shakespeare before. So we are reading this. We did a retelling first, and now he is doing the actual play. And rather than read it, we are listening to it on Archangel, or the Archangel retelling of it. And I got it just on Hoopla, so it's free. So if you have a Hoopla account, that was on there for us anyways. And it's a fantastic retelling. It has all of the characters and voices and some noise effects or sound effects and stuff. So it's actually it's actually really enjoyable to listen to. So him and I are sitting together and we are listening to that together as well. He is reading A Single Shard. I pre-read this one. Excellent read. Super good book. We're doing the Plutarch primer because we've never done Plutarch before. Plutarch is like something that I was a little bit intimidated to do. We did stories from Rome, something like that last year, where it just was kind of like some retellings. That was really enjoyable. I don't know if I necessarily love this yet. It's not like overly exciting or anything, but once again, the Alveary is making the chunks so bite-sized that it's actually led to a lot of really good conversations again. And it's not just having us just read, it's actually having us work through some things, which has been really good. He's reading Number Stories of Long Ago. This was the retelling that he read. This is Nesbitt's retelling of Shakespeare. He's reading Marco Polo. He's reading A Castle with Many Rooms. I think this is his favorite book so far. He told me that he is super interested in the Vikings right now, which just kind of, when a kid connects with a book, you're just like, yes. So this has been his favorite. The Age of Chivalry, not his favorite. So I sat down and I started reading it to him because I was like, how could you not like Lancelot and the Round Table and all of these like daring quests that they're going on? But apparently this is just not his thing, but we're still reading it, and we're going to read it together because when a book is not really enjoyable to him, it's a little more enjoyable to do it together because we can dialogue about it. The Story of Civilization, that has been a good read so far. Turtle Island. This one is about Native Americans and just kind of their myths around how the world was created. This one is not necessarily overly living in my opinion, but my son is really enjoying it. So it's been a good addition to our school, but I wouldn't necessarily consider it like a super like one that I'm like, yes, you absolutely have to read that. Tracking trash, it's been a fun one that he has been enjoying, talking about like currents in the water and how we can actually track trash through water currents. And then Hidden Worlds is what he is doing for science right now, where he is doing things through microscope. This is actually their 4th grade science, but because we've never done Alveary, I wanted to kind of start at the beginning. And the things that were being done for 6th grade this year, he had actually done in previous years, which I think one of them was like rocks and minerals. He had already done that in a previous year. So I thought, who doesn't like looking under a microscope? So we jumped back and we're doing that together. So that's just kind of a quick look at the books that we have been currently reading for the first 3 weeks of our schooling, and many of these will continue for the entire school year, but obviously we probably have like triple the amount of books that are sitting here for the remainder of our school year. All right, so I hope that that was a really good look at how our first 3 weeks of the Alveary is going. I am getting more and more on board with this. Someone actually asked me recently, do you think that you will go back to A Gentle Feast? And my honest answer right now is no, I don't think we will. Based on what I have seen and what we have done for the past 3 weeks, we will continue to do this. And I know I had said in a previous video, the reason that we finally made the switch was because of Alveary Plus, which has the online lesson planning. And I cannot emphasize enough how much that has added to our school day, and just being able to for me, not have to print out these like huge binders that the Alveary has with all of the lesson plans, and just being able to work weekly with each student and just having everything at my fingertips. It has been so good for us so far. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. I am happy to answer what I am able to answer so far. If you are interested in purchasing, I will be dropping a discount code for $25 off if you are interested in joining the Alveary for this upcoming year. And as always, if you found this content valuable to you, I would just ask that you like and subscribe to the channel so that it keeps me coming back and creating more and more for you.